Well, Kurt, mid-playoffs, we got an exclamation point by the boys in Brooklyn over the Milwaukee Bucks. 2-0 lead. What are your thoughts on the series thus far?
That may be the most surprising thing to me. I thought this was going to be this knockdown, drag-out type series, and Brooklyn just looks dominant. Dominant on a couple points. Like, right, Kevin Durant's all the way back, isn't he, man? Like,
absolutely.
With 61 points in 2 games on 55% shooting, 50% from 3, giving them rim protection. He just looks dominant on both ends. And then the other part of it is their defense is shockingly good. Like, they don't have a bunch of elite individual defenders. They don't have a Ben Simmons or a Marcus Smart or somebody you can just lock down on. Kawhi Leonard, you can lock down on a guy. But they're all making smart decisions. They're in the right place. They've got a great game plan strategy, and they're executing it, and it's flummoxing Milwaukee, who's just, their offense looks awful. They need a lot more from Giannis, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it right there, the 3 stars from Milwaukee. Let me read these to you. Ready? Giannis, 18 points. Chris Middleton, 17 points. Drew Holiday, 13 points. And there was a point in the game where Chris Middleton was 0 for 7 from the floor.
Yeah, they can't have that. I mean, this is still, with all the depth they've added and having all the shooters and stuff, and they missed Dante DiVincenzo a lot in this series. At the end of the day, man, those guys have got to step up. Giannis still has to play like an MVP, and he's simply not. Kevin Durant has been the best guy on the floor in this series by a mile, and Kyrie Irving's probably second.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyrie he had 4 for 8 from 3-point land. That first quarter was just basically, you go, I go. Kyrie and KD were just trading punches, and it created a chasm that that Milwaukee never got out of. But I think what's most interesting is that the Milwaukee Bucks, when they have that mismatch, right? Think about points in the paint. You got Robin Lopez, Giannis, Chris Middleton trying to get Kyrie Irving on the block, right? Isolate him and just go to work. For some reason, they cannot capitalize on that matchup, which is mind-blowing, Kurt, because I'm thinking to myself, is Kyrie Irving like that great of a defender where you can stop a 7-footer? But if you watch the game closely, you can see that for whatever reason, Kyrie's pushing them out 2, 3, 4, 5 feet off the block. So they're catching it from 18 feet, and then the help's coming quick. And like you said, they're flummoxed. So that has been the biggest circle for me. I'm like, man, even Kevin Durant, where is Kevin Durant pushing out Lopez, pushing out Chris Middleton? There was even that one play where Kevin Durant fronted, I think it was Chris, right? It was Robin Lopez. He fronted Robin Lopez and then got the foul called on the offensive foul because Robin ended up extending, right? So it's just like they're playing great defense. They're getting the guys out of their comfort zones and pushing them far away from the paint. And Milwaukee doesn't have any answers because they're not shooting well from 3.
They're not shooting well from 3. And like you said, this was supposed to be a team that got their threes because they were bullying them inside. They were just going to get all these buckets right at the rim. And that just hasn't come to pass. They just have not been able to find the lanes and get in there and get the easy buckets and kickouts. And it's just, maybe they turn it around when they go home. But watching those first couple of games, it's hard to picture how the Bucks come back and win this series. And then that's going to lead to some serious offseason questions in Milwaukee. While has anybody looked better than Brooklyn in the playoffs so far?
And we haven't even mentioned the fact that they're playing without James Harden.
Yeah, exactly. And they still, I mean, we'll see where that is. They seem that they're not talking about it, and the tone of their comments are concerning. That this is, look, we've talked about these before. Everybody who's had a hamstring knows once it's tweaked, and if it's pretty bad, it's a long time coming back, and you've got to get all the way back, or you just aggravate it again. It's a hard injury to come back from.
And just 2 players that played extremely well, in my personal opinion. You have Bryn Forbes coming off the bench from Milwaukee. At that one point in the game, I was like, Bryn Forbes is the only person playing out there from Milwaukee. I mean, he was giving it everything he got on both ends, ended up with 10 points. And then Blake Griffin, I mean, the emergence of Blake Griffin in this series has been phenomenal to watch. In addition to the highlight poster dunks, his impact on the floor, we're getting the crowd involved, I mean, is undeniable. So let's see what he continues to do there.
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe the defining play of this series for me in one play was there was a loose ball. Giannis is kind of going over for it and leaning over to get it, and Blake Griffin dove in front of him on the ball and got it. And that's really been the story of the series, right? Like the Nets are just want this thing more. They're playing harder, they're playing smarter, and the Bucks are almost acting entitled. Like they're not acting like a team in the desperate throes of a playoff series like they need to be.
Yeah, I mean, there was even that one loose ball where Kevin Durant was on the ground and they were up by like 20 points. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that speaks volumes.